Hello. God, I look tired. But that's just almost bedtime. So, three topics for today: Israel and Gaza, Emma Watson, and word thinking. So, before I do anything, it's 2 weeks into the government shutdown. Has your life changed? Has your life really changed? The answer is probably no, unless. Actually, no, the answer is just probably no, unless you're a federal employee. Which given the security of the federal employee compared to the average private employee, whatever. I'm not too concerned. Okay, so Israel Gaza follow-ups. Okay, so basically, looks like this peace deal might last longer than a few days, which is good. We'll see. I'm still not betting on it. Credit to Ian Bremmer, of course, for being able to recognize a win as a win. Seriously, if you're looking for a football commentator who actually has a brain and is actually sensible and is actually not crazy, Ian Bremmer is a national treasure. He is really, really solid. Um, I do think it's important to have influencers influencing you from both sides, if possible. And Ian Bremmer is one of the best. So, yeah, give him a subscribe. But a lot of leftists are not so happy. And it's really funny because I seem to remember there being protests across the entire country protesting the continuance of the war in Israel and Gaza between Israel and Gaza, or Israel invading Gaza, or more accurately, Israel kicking the ever living F out of Gaza, for better for worse. A lot of protests, stopping from any parking a few times. Um, just a lot of protests. All these people are oddly silent right now. Now, granted, there are some people on the left on that side of things who are giving credit where credit's due. A lot of them are not. Which means that they never actually cared about the Palestinians. They never cared about peace. They never cared about any of this stuff they say they care about. No, they just wanted Israel to be wiped off the map because they're successful people who created a successful country surrounded by enemies. So anybody who has an opinion that, like, if you say that this isn't going to last, okay, that's a fair reasonable opinion. I'm sure. If you're going to tell me that, like, if you're not going to celebrate it as a win, and even if it was permanent, your opinion means absolutely nothing to me moving forward. Your opinion is worthless. You lose me nothing. I've seen what makes you cheer. Um, so that's really, really funny. People who they care so much about the Palestinians. We have a deal that actually stop their suffering, and great. So that's just so dumb. There's nothing I wanted to say about that. Oh, the other fallout is that it makes it very difficult to blame Trump for the government shutdown because if Trump was able to make peace between Gaza and Israel, the fact that he isn't able to make peace between Democrats and Republicans on this issue, it's kind of funny. It's just funny, that's all it is. What else is there going on for that? No, that's basically it. I still don't know if the deal is going to last. But dear God, Trump is really, really good at winning. Like as a loser, he's a bit of a strong loser. That is a fair critique of Trump. He is good at winning. He's just sitting in his giving these speeches, giving compliments to everybody. Like I would enjoy being on his side. Because if you're on his side, he gives you all these compliments, all these little like snippets for all these people who control the media in their countries to say, "Oh, Trump says I'm a really tough guy," or "Trump says I'm a really smart guy." Like he says all these things, and that's useful to them. And plus, like the little things like, "Oh, he should give a pardon to Netanyahu." If he had done that in negotiations, it never would have worked. The fact that he just did it in a speech and then got the president, who's the opposite political party, to endorse it, that's effective. And that's probably why Netanyahu agreed to the deal. That's probably one of the two main reasons. The other being that maybe he actually does want the war to end. So yeah, still not sure how it's going to work out. Oh, the other thing people were saying is that, oh, it's Biden. Bullshit. If somebody says this credit for this goes to Biden, you know they're just an idiot. If somebody says credit for this goes to entirely to Egypt, they are an idiot. You gotta give credit. You gotta give your enemies some wins. Like, I know Trump's not universally right. That's pretty obvious. But it's equally obvious that he orchestrated this entire thing. And if you're not willing to recognize that, your opinion means nothing, and you should just stop having opinions on politics. Period. Your opinions are worthless if you think that. So, right in news, you have Emma Watson, who got a tiffy with J.K. Rowling about the whole trans thing. Now, when it comes down to it, don't bite the hand that feeds you. Um, if you want to stay neutral, I think Ruben Good did this. He stayed neutral pretty much. Oh, J.K. Rowling, that crazy aunt. It's nice. Doesn't actually say anything. Everybody has a crazy aunt. We like our crazy aunts. Fair. Good. Avoid the controversy with a bit of a joke. That's always a good thing to do. Um, but to just attack the person who made the work that made you famous, that made you rich, stupid. Stupid. You don't attack the person. You don't attack your patron. It's dishonorable, and it's stupid, and it's immature. And Emma Watson's kind of getting past the age where being immature is considered cute. I reached that age. I reached that age probably 5 years ago. There's an age at which you can't just say bullshit and try to be cute and win that way. That's not gonna work forever. And Emma Watson, I'm sorry, you are middle aged. Hate to break it to you. And you can't just do that kind of thing. You're not talented enough to really get away with that. Like, honestly, what have you really done? And plus the cause you on. I honestly get it. Somebody picks a political cause you push it. Sure. I even get if you just care about people being treated well. Fine. I get it. You want people to be treated with respect, full human dignity of the person, no matter what. I get that. But you're arguing for biological men or women to be in the opposite bathrooms. And that does lead to problems. It does. And frankly, like it doesn't improve the mental health of people going through that process. It doesn't. Sorry, it doesn't. A lot of interesting people in that group does not help them for the most part. There are always exceptions. I'll even say 20%, sure. And also to try to take away other people's rights to say whatever they want about you. You have the right to call somebody an a-hole. You have the right to call somebody a jerk. You have the right to call somebody whatever you want. Now, it may not be kind. There is such a thing as politeness. But you try to put the force of law against people using a particular word against on you. Oftentimes accidentally. I don't have sympathy for people who are trying to take away my rights to say what I want. You can say what you want, go for it. You can do whatever you want. But when you start telling me what to do, then we have a difficulty. Because then it's a question of me versus you. I'd rather not have that conversation. I'd rather not deal with that. But you chose, Emma, the conversation to say that I hate the person who made me what I am because they're going for some very basic and up until 5 seconds ago, universally held opinion about who goes to what room. You went too far. You and the entire group, you took it too far. And now people are defending their kids. Now, you may have a bunch of rights, sir. You don't have the right to go against people's kids. And there was like a huge spike of all that stuff. And now it's going down, which means maybe it wasn't biological in the first place. Maybe part of it was a social contagion. Maybe we shouldn't bend over backwards for every new definition of things every time it happens. Now, I'm not gonna do anything. Like, it all goes as it goes. But from a tactical standpoint, being a prick's not working for you very well. That was not actually tongue in cheek. It just called being a prick and a jerk, not anything else. And that brings me to word thinking. This is a new item on my list of things that I don't want to deal with anymore, and don't really want to entertain arguments anymore. Redefining words to win points. You go back and forth. Woke. Oh well, don't you know woke just means being cognizant of the plight of the African American through American history? No, it does not mean that. It hasn't meant that for 40 years. Don't just lie and say that. Oh, you're against woke. You're racist. It's like no, I'm not. Don't screw off. No, you're redefining the word. You're like, oh, it's in the dictionary. Yeah, okay. Read the book Frindle. Words mean how they're intended to be meant. If you're trying to say that something means something different than what they're actually saying, you're an idiot and not worth arguing with. I don't argue back and forth about what the definition of a word is. Argue the actual point that somebody is making. Argue with your mind, not with a dictionary. If you're arguing with a dictionary, you're a AI bot and not a particularly sophisticated one. Um, and this happens a lot. It obviously happens with the issue that I talked about in the last segment. It obviously happens with the word woke. It obviously happens with the word fascist. Obviously, more happens with the word Nazi or Hitler or anything else. It obviously happens with the word incel or misogynist or anything else. You redefine a lot of words to suit you. You stop seeming like somebody who's worth having conversations with. No, I'm pretty tolerant of different opinions. I'm in a left wing state in a left wing industry, and most of my friends are left wingers. I can tolerate most things. Be brutally honest, I don't really care. The only issue I really care about long term is Islam, and that's just because it has a history of winning. All these other short term things, they come and they go. It's not going to be a permanent thing because it doesn't produce kids. So it's like, it'll go away eventually on its own. Fine. I don't really care because I feel like it's a short term blip. History is always going to revert back to whatever the norms were. Now, I am upset that so much is going to be lost over the course of this experiment. There's a lot of cultures that are probably going to disappear as a result of this experiment. Germania is probably done. Korea is probably done. There's a lot of things, good things in the world that are going to disappear over the next century or two. But that's how history goes. Nations rise, nations fall. Well, except for the Jews, it's always going to be true. I have actually an idea for a space opera where humans are all Jewish because that's the gift that survives. You could really do it; it would be fun. But that said, the redefinition of words to win points doesn't make me think you're smart. It doesn't make me think that you are clever or educated or anything else. It just makes me feel like you're avoiding the conversation and that you're just trying to win cheap shots. I think fine, there's a place for that, but we don't have to throw poo at each other like monkeys do. It would be like a lot more fun and more sophisticated too, and we'll probably teach a lot more too. So yeah, that's the new thing on my list of things that I'm not gonna entertain anymore. Like, oh, I'm redefining a word. I guess you could redefine losing the argument to winning the argument too. Words mean what they mean. They mean what with popular parlance is. There's spots where there's disagreements about what a word means. But don't like bullshit me. We're done with that. You see what happened is that the left had something called the ideological high ground, where they could say we are the ones with degrees, with credentials, that are smart and are educated, and that worked for a while. About 10 years probably 2006 to 2016 is when that really worked. Basically, the Great Recession till Trump. That impressed for a while before that because neocons were kind of borderline. That argument, that tactic doesn't work anymore. If you use your ideological high ground, if you charge down to high ground and end up on the low ground, you don't have the high ground anymore. If you're attacking from the high ground, you lose the high ground. And now we have it. And we don't care about your word salad anymore. We're done. Anyway, happy to argue about anything. Just don't redefine words to suit you. We don't. We're not going to let that happen anymore. Because we'll just walk away. Anyway, cheers.